Hello, friends. I am the man with no identity. The man formerly known as John Henderson.
Welcome to the Theater of Thrills!
We're continuing the story of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. At this point, the studious young Henry Jekyll has gone for a spree in London with a couple of pals, only to find his old secret girlfriend, and the clothes she was wearing. A respectable young woman wouldn't be caught dead in them. Here now is the next part of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Enjoy.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now present George Edwards in Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Get up there, Stone. Get up.
Well, if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I would never have believed it. Our saintly Jekyll coming downstairs with that girl tucked under his arm as cool as you please.
He must have known her somewhere before. After all, a man doesn't go upstairs to stop a brawl and then walk out into the night with one of the women for nothing.
Would you believe it? Our studious and irreproachable young Galahad.
What'll the other fellows say when we tell him about it?
Now, look here, Roberts. We'd better be careful what we say about this. After all, none of us is supposed to be up in London this weekend, and if it got about too much...
Yes, probably all right.
And another thing, it's no business of ours. I like Jekyll, and if he's got something like this girl he wants to keep quiet about, I guess it's up to us to mind our own business. Now, I half wish we hadn't started following him the way we did.
Well, we can easily tell the cabman to take us to the hotel. I'm infernally tired, for one.
Oh, wait a minute. Jekyll's cab seems to be turning into that side street. Queer sort of quarter, this. I wonder where we are.
Heaven only knows. I've been half asleep for the past half hour.
Well, now that we've gone so far, we'd better see the rest of it. Hey, driver, stop here, will you?
Very good, sir. Whoa there. What are you going to do?
Jekyll's cab's pulled up. We'd better stay here and see what happens.
Doesn't seem to be a single soul about but ourselves. Look at all those wretched little shops and the puddles in the street. I never saw a more desolate-looking spot.
Oh, I say, look. There he is now. He's going over to the door in that house. He's unlocking it.
House? Doesn't look like a house to me. It hasn't any windows, just a door. Looks like some kind of warehouse.
Looks to me as though it might be anything. See, there he's opened it. And now he's going back to get the girl. There she is. Doesn't seem to be very anxious to go in.
Don't blame her. Looks decidedly uninviting to me. Ideal place for a murder.
There she goes. Now he's shut the door. And the cab's starting to drive away.
What do you make of it, Lanyon?
I don't make anything of it at all. What this building can be, I can't even guess. And that Jekyll should have any connection with the sort of girl that one is seems almost unbelievable.
What'll we do?
Go back to the hotel and hold our tongues. This is Jekyll's affair. It's no concern of ours.
All the same, I'd give a lot to know what's going on inside that place.
Give me your arm, Hetty. I'll guide you up these stairs.
How dark it is. Where are we, Henry?
It's part of my father's house.
Your father's house? This queer, dark place?
Not part of the main house, but an outer building a little way from the other. Ah, here's the door. Now, go in. I'll light a lamp for you in a moment.
Oh, what a queer place. Did anybody live there?
No, it hasn't been used for a long time. A famous surgeon used to live in the main house, and this was the place where he did some experiments.
Do you mean he used to cut people up?
Well, I don't think he did any human experiments here, but maybe animals, dogs and rabbits and guinea pigs.
No wonder there seems to be something queer about it. Think of all the little things that's died here and been in pain.
Oh, come. You don't want to go thinking about things like that. It's not a bad sort of a place at all, really. I'll light a fire in the grate over there, and you can get warm, and then I'll try and fix you up a bed and maybe find you some clothes.
James. Henry, what are you going to do with me?
I don't know. We'll think of that in the morning.
Well, what will your people say when they find you brought me here?
My people are all away in the country. They need know nothing about it.
You never wanted anyone to know anything about me, did you?
Well, what makes you say that?
That was why you got me to leave home and come up to London, wasn't it? You wanted me out of the way, didn't you? Especially after what happened to poor young Mr. Markham.
Don't mention his name. Never let me hear you say that again.
I won't say it to anybody else, but I don't see why I can't say it to you. I know. So what's the use of pretending I don't?
You've changed a lot, haven't you?
Do you wonder? I've been 6 months at Mike O'Reilly's, and a good few things has happened to me in that time. You don't think I'd be the same little innocent who went off to London with £10 in a purse and believing you was going to come up and take care of her, do you?
Hetty,
Oh, don't bother to tell me. I know. I think I knew all along. But you kind of hope it isn't true. Especially when you care for someone like I cared for you.
I did try to find you, you know.
When?
Some weeks later, after the school term finished.
Yeah, and there wasn't any danger of you getting expelled like Mr. Markham was.
Well, I couldn't do it before. You know, I had exams. I couldn't possibly get away.
Oh, but you could have written or sent me money or done something like you promised to.
Oh, yes, I know. I've been a young swine to you, Hetty, and I know it.
Oh, well, what's the use of going into that now? I should have had more sense.
But now that I've found you again, I'll try and make up for it. Now, come and sit near the fire. It's burning well now. I'll push this chair up for you. Why, you're half frozen. Oh, no wonder with your feet bare like that. Now, you sit here. I'll go over to the house and see what I can find for you to wear.
Henry.
What?
You'll come back, won't you?
Why, of course I will. Whatever made you think I wouldn't?
What makes me think you... If you'd gone to that post office in Charing Cross like I did, day after day, hoping for a letter, if you'd been waiting all those weeks praying for someone to come who never did, you'd know why I don't trust no one anymore.
Hetty, my poor little Hetty.
I don't know why I didn't die, and that's the truth. I thought about it often enough. I went down to the river once, but there was always the hope that there'd be a letter the next day, or I'd see you in the street.
Well, now you have seen me. I'm here. I'm going to look after you, Hetty. All that's over now.
No, it isn't. You can't have the lots of me hanging on to you. Maybe you'll be nice to me for a little while, but that's all.
Now, dry your eyes and sit beside the fire while I go over to the house. I won't be long. When you've had something to eat and got some clothes on, I'll find somewhere for you to sleep, and, well, we'll talk it all about tomorrow morning. Is that all right?
Yes, Henry. That's all right. You don't know what it's like to see you again. I think I've prayed for it every night of my life. Can you imagine anyone praying in Mike's place? It's funny, isn't it?
No, I think it's rather wonderful. Now stay quietly there, Hetty. I won't be long.
Who's there? Put up your hands.
Father, you here.
Henry, what are you doing here? I took you for a burglar. Wait a minute till I light a lamp. Ah. Why are you up in London? Shouldn't you be in Oxford?
Oh, I came up for the weekend with two other chaps. We just came up for a bit of a break.
I see. Well, you'd best be getting into bed, hadn't you? It's nearly 4 o'clock.
Yes, I suppose I had. You know, I had no idea it was so late.
Did you have a good night?
Yes, very good. Went to a show, on to Ciro's, and one or two other places afterwards.
See anyone you know?
What's that? Oh, yes. Oh, yes, one or two. You know how it is. One always bumps into people you know in those places.
Pity you didn't happen to drop into the Regency. Margaret was having a small party there. She'll be very disappointed when I tell her you were in town.
Oh, Father, you mustn't do that. You mustn't say a word to Margaret about my being in town this weekend, or to anybody else.
Very well, my boy. Just as you please, of course. Well, I don't suppose there's any point in standing here. I'll see you at breakfast. Good night, son.
Good night, Father.
Henry.
Yes, Father.
You're not in any kind of, difficulty, are you?
What makes you ask?
I just thought you looked a little strained. But perhaps that's only the result of a late night.
Oh, I'm all right, Father. Never better.
Good. Well, off to bed with you, and no more wandering around the house in the dark. Next time I might shoot.
I'll go right to bed. I promise. That's 5 o'clock. I've been here over an hour now. She'll be thinking I'm not coming back. Father will be asleep now. Get out of bed and go back to that girl before it's too late.
Don't be a fool. It was fate, your father being there. He forced you to remain in the house. You'd have given yourself away if you hadn't gone to bed. That's enough, isn't it? Let the girl go. She'd be an infernal nuisance to you. What are you going to do with her? You're sure to be found out. Stay where you are and let her think what she pleases.
I failed her once, and see what happened to her. Am I going to send her away again?
What's it got to do with you? Anyhow, it's too late now. She's lost. Once she's been like that, well, you know the rest. This was none of your doing. If your father hadn't been up in London.
Oh, what am I going to do? I'll get up out of bed and go out to that girl. I'll go back to Hetty and take the consequences.
You fool. You fool.
Hetty! Hetty, where are you? Why, she's gone.
She's gone. She's gone. You stayed too long. You listened to me, didn't you? You hoped you wouldn't find her here. You knew she wouldn't stay this long.
Stop it. Stop it. Stop it.
But you're glad. You can go back to Oxford and not have to worry. She ran away of her own accord. No one knows she was here. You can think of Margaret again. What a relief. What a relief.
Well, my boy, did you get some sleep?
Not very much, I'm afraid.
Did I hear you wandering round after we parted?
Me? Oh, no, I stayed in bed once I got there.
You look as though you could do with an hour or two more. Have some breakfast. The cook's provided some excellent kidneys.
Thanks, I think coffee will do me this morning.
Care to see the paper?
Anything in it?
Oh, just the usual Sunday morning crop of murders and suicides. Funny how they seem to break out over the weekend.
Everybody too busy during the week, I suppose.
By the way, were you out in the old dissecting room while you've been up here this time? Oh, dear, you've spilled the coffee all over the tablecloth.
I'm sorry, it's awfully clumsy of me. Hands none too steady this morning. Wait a minute, I'll wipe it up.
I suppose Mrs. Porter will forgive you.
What made you ask about the dissecting room?
I happened to take a look in there before breakfast. There were traces of a fire having been lit there quite recently. Last night, I should say.
No, I wasn't there.
I wonder who it could have been. One of the servants, perhaps. They might have been entertaining some friends. I'll have the lock on the outer door changed. Oh, by the way, it was open when I looked.
Open was it? Oh, well, perhaps the nocturnal visitor left in a hurry.
It's a bad business, really. I thought I could rely on all the people we have here. That back door gives access to a very bad part of the city. We can't afford to risk having that door left open.
You know, Father, I was only thinking the other day that I'd like to have that place cleaned up. I'll be wanting to go on with my work even during vacation. And I could do all sorts of things out there without making a nuisance of myself.
But wouldn't it be better to forget about work? You can't keep going all the time.
Well, I'd like to play around there sometimes. There's so much equipment there already, and Professor Marriott and I are working on a scheme now that must be gone on with. I'll have to work somewhere, and it's so quiet and so isolated.
Then have it, by all means. We'll go out and have a look at it after we've finished breakfast. Sure you won't look at the paper?
Oh, I suppose I might as well have a glance at it.
What time do you leave tonight?
7:10, I think.
Then you'll have time for early dinner. I'm going back to Maryland tomorrow. Just took a flying trip to attend to a small piece of business. Well, what's the matter?
This girl. Do you see her picture?
Oh, that. Tried to throw herself off Battersea Bridge, didn't she?
I know her.
You do?
It's Hetty. Hetty Wilson. Don't you remember? I told you about her. She was the girl who was mixed up with that business of David Markham.
I see.
She's been arrested and charged at the Waterside Police Court for being a person without lawful means of support. What does that mean, Father?
It means she'll probably be sent to a house of detention for a while.
Jail? Hetty in jail?
Would you like me to get in touch with Utterson and get him to see what he can do about it?
Mr. Utterson? Margaret's father? Oh, I know. I'll go myself.
Will I go with you?
No, I'll go alone.
Well, you'll find me here all morning if you want me.
No, the prisoner has been removed to the jail infirmary. She's suffering from exposure and immersion in the water.
Immersion? Then she did throw herself in the river.
She did, young gent. And if it hadn't have been that the water patrol was passing at the time, she'd have been adorning a marble slab in the morgue by now.
I see. Oh, can anybody visit her?
Visitors allowed once a month by special permit from the Department of Justice. Letters once a week.
Thank you.
Care to leave any name, sir? I could let her know, maybe.
No name, thank you. No name.
Thank heavens you've made it. Roberts and I are in a fit. Nice mess you'd have been in if you hadn't been there for assembly tomorrow morning.
What's the matter with you? You look all out. I had to rush for the train.
Making the most out of merry old London town, eh? I must say you're a dark horse. Roberts and I are a couple of babes in arms compared to you. We'll get you to show us the way around next time. Still, we didn't do so badly. Have a good time today?
Oh, yes. Marvelous. Don't know when I enjoyed myself so much before.
Who was the little piece you got away with last night? Don't mind my asking, do you?
Oh, no, not in the least. She's a Hungarian princess in disguise. Takes drugs, poor thing. Very sad case.
Hungarian... Oh, get out. That's for a yarn. Still, I suppose that's your way of telling me to mind my own business. I say, look at old Roberts over there. Sound asleep already. Think I'll do likewise. Oh, what a night.
Mr. Jekyll, may I detain you for a moment?
Yes, Professor.
I had occasion to visit your rooms over the weekend. You were absent.
Yes, I went for a longish walk in the woods, sir.
Oh, yes, I guessed as much. Has it ever occurred to you, Jekyll, how extraordinarily useful it could be if we could disassociate the more fleshy parts of our being from the spiritual?
I'm afraid I don't know what you mean, sir.
Well, you come into the laboratory with me for a while.
Yes, sir.
There's no one there now. I've been working for a great many years on a particular line of investigation, and I'd like to interest you in it if I could. It's still far from complete, and, well, I'm an old man now. And I need someone who could carry on from where I left off if I should happen to move to the place where scientific experience will no longer seem important. Oh, this way, Mr. Jekyll, this way.
Professor, are you putting this theory of yours forward as a practical proposition?
It is not my habit to be facetious about matters of experimental science, young sir.
And you truly think that by, well, shall we say, deadening a section of physical consciousness of the will, one can release the other from the influence of its counterpart?
Why not? See, I reach out my hand to lift this small earthenware bowl off the flame, but knowledge tells me it is hot. This makes me hesitate, and fear of consequences causes me to withdraw my hand.
I see. Much better than grasping it and suffering a lot of pain.
Precisely. Now let us proceed from the realm of the physical to that of the spiritual. We desire something intensely. It may be something that we know is harmful to us, that may even be injurious to us. Nevertheless, we desire it. Now, if the fear of consequent injury could be removed, wouldn't this open up an entirely new scope of existence?
Yes, it certainly would.
I want to lift this hot vessel and may not because it will burn me. You may want to indulge yourself in some white-hot experience and dare not because of the damage that you would suffer. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, quite clear, sir.
Good. And so we have the battle of impulse and inhibition constantly struggling for ascendancy within us. We are, all of us, not one man, but two. There is the evil and the good in each of us, and our physical body is the battleground for these opposing forces. We're everlastingly tormented by them, and some of us are destroyed by them. Don't you agree, Mr. Jekyll?
Yes. Oh, yes, I agree.
Well, why can we not sever these opposing forces and let each one go his own way? The sublime in us to walk untrammeled by the millstone of our baser selves, the profane to follow his impulses without the agonizing aftermath of hideous remorse.
But how? How?
We'll see here, in this little cabinet. Now, Mr. Jekyll, here's a drug I've compounded, and here a tincture. By the addition of one to the other, I believe I'll have the essential instrument which will sever these polar opposites now chained together in the agonizing prison of our consciousness.
And then what then?
Then we shall see. I propose to put my theory to the test.
You are going to experiment on someone?
I am going to take the drug myself.
You? But supposing it fails, supposing you've made some sort of a mistake.
I know perfectly well the risk I run. Any drug as powerful as this might well prove fatal. But I'm an old man. I have no family, no obligations, except to the furtherance of science, a master I've served all my life.
Oh, no, you mustn't. You can't be spared.
I've left all my affairs in order, Mr. Jekyll. Now, what few material things I possess will go to my sister. My notes, the data I've kept for years, the results of the experiments I've made, are all to go to you. You are my spiritual heir.
Oh, sir, Professor Marietta, I'm too young. This is too great a responsibility for me.
Only a young man on the threshold of his career should have them. If I fail, it may well take you half a lifetime to discover the error in my calculations. And now, if you're ready, we'll put the theory to the test.
Now? Now?
Why not? I've planned this for nearly 20 years. See, thus I measure out the tincture. Now note well the amazing brilliance of its color. Now, the essential source. Now, this must be measured to the utmost of accuracy. The least fraction of an overdose might well be fatal. There. See the way it boils and rages in the glass as the crystals start to melt? Yes, now it smokes. Those are the fumes escaping in the form of vapor. It catches the throat, eh? Now, see the color changes. The original crimson turns to purple. And now the final metamorphosis. It turns to green. The preparation is complete. Now remains the final, ultimate test.
Oh, but this is blasphemy. You're going to rip apart the veils that hide the human soul.
Galileo was threatened with a rack on the wheel of Inquisition for the blasphemy of saying that the earth revolved round the sun, and I am prepared to accept the torture that will follow the taking of this preparation for the sake of my beliefs. Are you prepared to stay and witness what follows?
Yes, I'll stay.
Good. I now drink to the cause of science, to the furtherance of knowledge, the only bridge whereby man can cross the abyss that separates him from the barbarism of savagery to the godhead of his greater self.
Professor, he's dead. It failed. There was something wrong with the mixture. You said it might take half a lifetime to succeed. But I'll do it. I'll not fail to carry out your trust in me. I shall succeed where you have failed.